A game, if you're a child of the 80s, something you love, because growing up in the 90s, man, you got a chance to watch this thing all the time. Troy Aikman, Joe Montana, Steve Young battling back and forth. I mean, my goodness, it was some good stuff. Niners, Cowboys. Niners get it done, 23-17. And for everybody in the analytics world out there who says, hey, pass the ball, pass the ball, pass the ball. San Francisco 49ers. Now, granted, you can say they have Jimmy Garoppolo as their quarterback, and they don't have the ability to pass the ball like the Dallas Cowboys, but 38 rushes for $169. Dallas Cowboys, 21 rushes for 77 yards. And yes, that includes Dak Scamper at the end of the game. Dallas, for as good as they are, they have got to find a way to run the ball, or this is going to be the case. Even Kansas City, like you look at Buffalo, a lot of these elite offenses, Green Bay, they still run it. They have to be able to run it when they want to. You don't have to run it all the time, but you have to be able to run it when you want to. It helps shorten the game. It takes heat off your defense. It takes some pressure off your offensive line and quarterback, for heaven's sake. So you've got to be able to run the football. And so for everybody this analytics world about throw, you look at that. Dallas couldn't get the running game going, and I ultimately believe that it cost them. Now, the situational football aspect of the end of the game. This is what's going to drive some people crazy. You've got about 15 odd seconds left. Dallas Cowboys, they have a dead clock. They're trying to pick up 10, 15 more yards to make it an easier Hail Mary final play situation. Yeah, they could have thrown a Hail Mary from the 50, but that's got terrible odds. You get down to the 30, the 25-yard line. Now, all of a sudden, defenses have to play it straight. And you can throw something a little bit short of the goal line. You got to make a tackle because you can throw it more on a rope and guys running. Like you can have all kinds of stuff going on down there. And we've seen it before where guys go down and it's like a delay, like a screenish play down the field where you get blockers out in front. They don't touch until they throw the football and it's caught. But yeah, you have the ability to do all that. And so that's pretty big time. And so there's a lot of different things. So I understand Mike McCarthy trying to pick up yards. I completely get it. Some people are like, why are you doing that? The best place to pick up yards was going to be in the middle of the field. They're playing the edges. You have no timeouts. You can't get out of bounds. Got it. 15 seconds is more than enough time to pick up 10 to 15 yards and be able to down the ball. A lot of people didn't see the draw coming. I didn't have a problem with that. I thought the draw was fine. I liked it. It picked up a lot of yards. It wouldn't have been my personal call. I would have probably done something a little triple seam-ish, get the wide receivers down there, and guys who are used to handling the ball in that situation. Maybe it's a little bit quicker, but Dak's a great athlete. It wasn't like he took a lot of time. He wasn't plotting to get all the way down there to pick those yards up. I mean, he did a fantastic job of using speed. Now, here's the problem. He slides it out about the 24-yard line, 25-yard line. There's 9 seconds left on the clock. And so this has been one of the things that's been reviewed and analyzed more than any other play in the playoffs. Probably outside of the right there with the inverted whistle in the Bengals game. The Bengals offensive or the Cowboys offensive line runs down. They get in a good spot. They're ready to snap the ball. Dak hands the ball to his center. Okay, well, here's the problem, as we've all seen now. The umpire has to spot the football before the center can pick it up and snap it. That's going to take time. So this comes down to the situational football of Mike McCarthy. What was he doing? His year off, he said he watched every NFL game, 256 regular season games. Hey, dude, we used to go through this stuff with Parcells and Belichick all the time. No timeouts left. We need to pick up yards. Usually it was for a field goal. Try to get from the 50 to the 35. Give yourself a realistic shot. And they had a play, like triple seam Buckeye with Dallas. They throw it to Terry Glenn. And it was the same thing. Terry would lay down, toss to the official. Everybody get up, get in your stance, spot, kill the ball. Boom. It's all good. And you would be able to do that. And it worked just about the same. Whether it's a run or a pass maybe gives you a split second more time, but they would have had plenty of time without it. Dak, was getting back there with 4 seconds. Like he slid with 9. Here's what should have happened. And this is where it's a failure of the head coach. They probably have gone over that before. But here's the thing. This is what he should have told Dak. And this is what separates elite teams from average teams. Because Bill Belichick always would tell us more games are lost than won in the NFL. I don't know if Dallas would have ultimately won that game, but they didn't give themselves a chance to. Dak should have looked behind him at the umpire before snapping it. There's nothing illegal against this. And said, hey, I'm going to run a draw. Be right there with me. I'm getting you the ball. The umpire would have shook his head. He's not going to yell to the defense, hey, they're running the ball. That's not happening. it would have alerted him, who the official was on his horse, by the way. He ran as fast as he possibly could to get down there. And he's just a middle-aged dude. He probably ran a 4.8, 4.85, everything he had, he put into it. Give him a jump start on it. Give him a little head start to follow you, and he'll be right there. And you'll turn around. I'm going to toss you the football. Be ready to go. Give him a heads up. It's no different than a coach saying, hey, we're going to run it here. If we don't get out of bounds, I'm going to call a timeout. I'm going to throw it here. If we don't get bounds, call a timeout. Official by you. It's like, okay, I'm ready for the timeout now. You give them the ability to anticipate that. The offensive line should have known that the umpire was coming from behind. And so that they're turned ready as like a swinging gate. As soon as he goes by, boom, you snap down and they snap the football. They could have been able to do that, but they didn't practice that. They practiced the play and getting lined up and ready to go, but they didn't practice the entirety of the situation, or at least they didn't know it or look like they executed it very well. And so that's the difference. That's the split seconds. Yeah, they snapped it with 1 second left, but he couldn't spike it down in time because there wasn't enough time left. And those are the fractions of seconds that can somehow make the difference. It's not like they were kicking a field goal for a go-ahead score that would have won them the game. Yeah, they still would have had to put it, 25 yards into the end zone. And there's a good chance, probably 9 out of 10 times, San Francisco stops that, but it still gives you the one shot and it forces them to defend it. And there's, as we see in the NFL, there's PI, there's holding, there's a lot of things. Heck, there's a roughing the passer that could extend that. There's a ton of stuff that could have changed that game. And so that ultimately is the thing that it was concerning to me, is they executed the play fine. It's the post-play execution. That's the situational football stuff that needs to be addressed and should have been repped and should have been run through it. 9 seconds on a slide is plenty of time for them to get the ball done and get it spiked. And they didn't do it. And it cost them a shot. And Mike McCarthy, I guess, is going to keep his job. It looks that way. But they've got some work to do in Dallas. That window that they have, you catch lightning in a bottle sometimes. You can get things rolling. That defense is playing well. They've got some good guys under contract. Everything's setting up real well. You have to wonder, how much longer this thing will go. They got all their dudes back. They got Gregory and Lawrence back at the end of the season. They had the guys they needed there to be able to make the run, and they couldn't get it done. And San Francisco is moving on. Now, are they moving on to get slaughtered? Maybe, but by Green Bay, but they're still moving on and moving forward.